Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Israel. We get an audio check. Just logged in and everybody said the video was good, but the audio was off. Make sure we're good. Make sure we're good. Testing. Yep, looks like we got audio. Let's go around. We turn the mic up a little bit. Testing. All right, we look good. Testing. Don't want to get into this one and people miss the message due to the technology lacking. Audio seems to be working. I'll wait a couple minutes. As people tune in. Testing. If you're tuned in, let me get a thumbs up in the chat, or let me get a 10 or a 0 letting me know that the audio is working. Welcome. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Got a powerful message today, and I want to make sure that Hasatan doing his thing don't mess up. Hey, they say with the grease is hot, the fish grease is hot. All praise to the Most High. Man, a little bit of audio interference or glitches is not gonna stop the show. It's not gonna stop the show. But the word talks about those not entering into a Sabbath day rest due to unbelief. And this message that I'm going to be covering today about defiling your temple has a lot to do with belief and unbelief. You know, I welcome anybody to tune in. If it's your first time, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. I'll also give the disclaimer that I don't do any ear tickling or anything like that in truth. And I said yesterday, this is a Sabbath Day Teaching, and I hope if this is your first time, you stay the course. But there are oftentimes people that have unbelief, and they hear certain things in the Bible and they're easily offended, and that comes from lack of faith and lack of belief. You believe in something that you've come up with in your mind, but you just don't believe what the book says. So today we're talking about defiling your temple. This is very important because in the last days, you're going to see people will reverence the building that has been associated with the temple. They will have that at a high respect. They will worship the building, but it's very important for us to understand where the Most High Yah actually dwells. Man, all praise to the Most High for waking us up, allowing all the brothers and sisters to be able to tune in for truth, to be able to enter this Sabbath day rest. Very thankful that, the Most High Yah brought me out of my former ignorance and rebellion and is consistently working on me, because there's a lot going on in the world right now. There's a lot of ripping and running going around today. There's going to be a lot of ripping and running going around tomorrow. We're going to see people's lips say that they love Jesus, they love God, and God is good and they couldn't have did it and all of this stuff. But we're in the last days, we're going to see a lot of lip service and no actual being a doer of the word. Okay. So why are we here today? This is for anybody that does not know, I posted a video a little bit earlier talking about Sunday versus Sabbath. And people oftentimes use that passage of let nobody judge you on what day you keep, what kind of food you eat. That was a passage for the righteous. That wasn't a passage for the heathen. And then, most importantly, out of everything that I'm going to talk about today, all this is in righteousness. And the foundation of that is your faith. So we're getting to how do we honor and carry out this faith? How does that show in our works and our actions? But I want to remind you that this might be a hard pill to digest if you don't believe in the true Messiah. Okay? Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 through 11. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy Yah. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made the heaven and earth, the sea and all that is in them, and rested on the Sabbath day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Okay, this is why we're here. All right, when we talk about defiling your temple, I'm going to hit on some ones that are going to be very prevalent in the last days. And any form of defiling your temple, man, you need to seek deliverance out of. It doesn't matter how big or small you think it is, it's still a defilement of your temple. Ezekiel chapter 5, verse 10 through 12. Therefore, fathers shall eat their sons in your midst, and sons shall eat their fathers, and I will execute judgments on you, and any of you who survive, I will scatter all the winds. Therefore, as I live, declares the Lord thy Yah, surely because you have defiled my sanctuary with all your detestable things. Defiled, Hebrew word 2930. Detestable things, Hebrew word 8251. And with all your abominations, therefore I will withdraw. My eye will not spare, and I will have no pity. A third part of you shall die of pestilence and be consumed with famine in your midst. A third part shall fall by the sword all around you, and a third part I will scatter all the winds and will unsheathe the sword after them. Defiled, you have defiled. Hebrew word 2930. That's the etymology. To be foul, morally or ceremony foulness, contaminated, pollute, be unclean. Detestable things. Oftentimes we read these passages and we don't break it down to understand what was meant by it in the original language. We try to take a Western perspective on it where that leads us to pretty much justifying a lot of stuff that we shouldn't be trying to justify. Detestable things. Hebrew word 8251. Disgusting, filthy, especially idolatrous, concerning an idol, abominable filth. Okay? When we look at defiling the temple, especially our temple, we see in the Bible there was the destruction of the temple, and that was by way of all of the defilement that was going on there, all of the abominable practices and worships that was going on in there. But when we look at Israel being pulled out of Egypt, that's very key to look at, because oftentimes people like to have faith but adapt the ways of modern culture. And a lot of what was going on in Egypt, the Most High had to use men, that he chose in righteousness to be able to give guidance. A lot of what Moses was given was about correcting the stuff that they picked up in Egypt. And when you think about this at a lowest common denominator level, if they were doing righteous things in Egypt, we wouldn't have this big, long, Bible with all these books, 66, 80 plus books, outlining how we should live. And as far as giving us guidance, making sure we don't defile our temple. History of things that originated in Egypt. Wigs. Wigs is one of them. Fake hair, fake nails, vain beauty. That vain beauty is not only for women also. No, that's for men too. We look at this daytime and hour, we're seeing a lot of the stuff that was done in Egypt overtake men and women today. Men wearing fake hair, men being very vain. We're seeing men with these bull nose rings. All of this stuff, when you do your own deep dive, you'll realize, man, it came from Egypt. And this is why I hope, if this is your first time, you stay the course. You stay the course, because, man, you have to hear truth for the first time. And you might have been in religion where you hear ear tickling. You really don't hear any truth. And I'm taking you back from when they were pulled out of Egypt. Okay, man, it wasn't until I did my own research and started looking like, man, in what culture did men start wearing earrings and all of this jewelry? That's Egyptian culture. You can go back and look up some of the Egyptian pictures and things like that and read on this ancient Egyptian history, and it'll tell you lavish hairstyles. You gotta think, when the Israelite women were in Egypt, man, they adopted all of this lavish hairstyle. Egypt had a whole bunch of flaming and flamboyant men. I'm going to go into the depths of today, the sexual aspect, whether it be we're getting into alcohol, getting into laziness, all of the stuff that the word says will defile our temple. All right. Acts chapter 17, verse 24. The Most High, who made the world and everything in it, being Lord of heaven and earth, does not live in temples made by man. Man, that's very critical when we look at how people esteem and honor a building that's made by the hands of man. Meanwhile, forsaking the temple where the Most High actually dwells, and that being you. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 16 through 17. Do you not know that you are Yah's temple, and Yah's temple dwells in you? Yah's spirit dwells in you. Correction. If anyone destroys Yah's temple, Yah will destroy him. For Yah's temple is holy, and you are that temple. So just constantly reiterating that you are the temple of the living Yah. You think about that on a daily basis, how you treat your temple as you move about in life. You either walking around as a defilement billboard, or either you are a temple of righteousness where that light can actually shine through. You got to think about all this stuff that I named, whether it be wigs, whether it be fake hair, fake nails. You got, you got men like Kirk Franklin. That man puts on lipstick and makeup. You got to think about all this stuff that we do that's vain, that will stop the light from shining through. And we're a walking billboard of vanity. When it tells us that we are the temple of the living God. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 4. This is very prevalent in the last days. People don't honor marriage. People do not honor marriage. People are saying, the heck with that. Let marriage be held in honor among all, and let the marriage bed be undefiled, for Yah will judge the sexually immoral and adulterous. That's the quickest way right there that a teenager from the age of about 14 or 15, every year that age is changing when our youth is losing their virginity. You know, people support this culture of girlfriend, boyfriend, and this and that, but ultimately it's the defilement of your temple. And you have family members, oh, ain't nothing wrong with it. We did that back in our day. Look how we ended up. And we had to start speaking on this. Nowadays, when you have a bunch of grown people that don't honor marriage, guess what you're susceptible to? You still got that itch in the middle of the night. You still burning up with lust. Now you open yourself up to all of this casual sex. The Most High Yah did not create sex to be dirty. That comes from the fallen state of man. We're supposed to hold marriage in honor among all. And you look at a lot of the slander where people don't want to partake in it. People saying, forget the Most High. I got this thing figured out. You know, I can do this Netflix thing, and you justify it in your mind. Ain't nothing wrong with it. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 18 through 20 says heavy distortion and echo. Let me see if I can get this down just a little bit. We'll make sure this one is what about now? How are we coming through now? Okay. All right. All praise to the Most High. All praise to the Most High. Had to turn the mic down, man. I live in a rural area, and internet service is not your typical internet service. So we're good to go. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 18 through 20. Flee fornication. Every sin that a man doeth is within the body, but he that committeth fornication sinneth against his own body. Every sin that a man doeth is outside of the body, but he that committeth fornication sinneth against his own body. So when we look at all of these other types of sins and transgression, a lot of which is done outside of the body. But when it comes to fornication, man, you're pretty much, it's kind of like having a house built on a foundation, you know, the Most High Yah creating it a certain way, creating it to be a temple of righteousness. And you say, you know what? I'm going to take one of them cinder blocks. Every time you go out and commit fornication, I'm going to remove one of them. It's like playing Jenga. Let me remove one of these bottom, you know, logs or cinder blocks and see if this thing will still stand. And every time you go out and commit that fornication, you know, you're just pulling that cinder block away, and pretty soon you don't realize, man, your temple has fallen. You've been overcome by idol worship. Man, you got to think a lot of the messages for brothers and sisters that grew up in church. How many times did you hear somebody really break this thing down? You heard a lot of motivational messages, people tickling ears to get money, but you didn't hear anybody speaking out, you know, to the youth, to the actual congregation, telling them that, hey, you keep on going that direction, you're going to hit rock bottom. Fornication, Greek word 4202, porneia. When you think about pornography, porneia, or porneia, harlotry, including adultery and incest, illicit sexual intercourse, homosexuality, lesbianism, intercourse with animals, worship of idols. Verse 19, what? Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Ruach HaKodesh, which is in you, which you have of Yah, and you are not your own. Man, we're in this daytime and hour where everybody's leaning towards all of this self-love to justify their transgression. Well, you know, the reason I slept around and wasn't faithful to my husband because I had to finally love me. This is some of the justification we're hearing. Man, if she would have only done this and I would have done it, but it's about the self-love. People are passing off self-love, being woke and spiritual while being void of the Ruach HaKodesh, and you still sleep. Verse 20, for you are bought with a price. Therefore, glorify Yah in your body and in your spirit, which are the Most High's. Glorify. What happens, man? We want to, as a young man, if you grew up in any kind of urban environment, you want to glorify, what you want, your desire. I remember, I think about how foolish some of this stuff was, man. I used to go to the little Chinese stores, get the big old fake cubic zirconium earrings and put them on my ear. And I'm, 15, 16 years old. Ain't nobody walking around with no real diamonds that doggone big. It doesn't make any sense, but that's the culture when you come from a reprobate mind. Where does that stuff come from? Come from Egypt. And rather than taking your money and saving it, you spending $10, $15 on these fake plastic earrings, cubic zirconium, and you want people to think you are a baller. This stuff don't make no sense. This is the reason I speak on it. Man, you have another one where men and women don't want to realize they've been bought with a price. Your life has been paid for. Anytime you mention a man taking ownership of his woman, that woman being his possession, people find that offensive. But if you think about that right there, if you're not somebody's possession, you're free for the taking. You own the market. And who purchases you at that point? Hasatan, the adversary. Hey, you're not serving no purpose. You said you didn't want to be a possession of righteousness, a possession of the Most High Yah. You said you didn't want to be a possession of your husband. Well, the flip side of that is you're going to be an agent of Hasatan. 1 Corinthians 7:2. But because of the temptation of sexual immorality, each man should have his own wife and each woman her own husband. So when you think about that right now, when you think about adultery, fornication, man, I didn't realize all of this time that I was out here living in fornication, living in sin, the world was justifying, yeah, man, that's cool, man. You slept with her and you did this, and girl, you slept with him too. Oh yeah, girl, how'd you land him? He's so fine, all of this. People will egg you on to live in fornication. There's very few people telling you, hey, don't defile your body. That sex you having, man, that's supposed to be the consummation of marriage. As a woman, when you give your body away, you need to make sure that you're getting a duty fulfilled to you and you're fulfilling a duty as a man, and vice versa. Brothers out here. 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 14. I will therefore that the younger women marry, bear children, guide the house, give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully. And this is, you have to think the daytime and hour that we live in, the adversary has every occasion because of how we defile our temple. I did a video talking about, hey, younger women must prioritize marriage. If not, you're going to deal with the consequences of not prioritizing it. Younger women marry, bear children, guide the house. And you got to think, if you don't follow it in that order, you're going to end up having a whole bunch of children outside of marriage, outside of the covenant of marriage, and your virtue that is tied to your doggone virginity, that's going to be gone. Men out here, same thing. For every woman that's lost her virtue, there's been a man that's partaked in that. So it's guilty by association. When you think about the body count and running all this stuff up in the spirits that jump off on you from other people. Exodus chapter 22, verse 16 through 17. If a man seduces a virgin who is not betrothed or engaged and lies with her, he shall give the bride price for her and make her his wife. If her father utterly refuses to give her to him, he shall pay money equal to the bride's price for virgin. This is why when we look in the Old Testament, the priest, he couldn't have got with a very promiscuous woman. He had to get with a virgin. Had to get with a virgin because you got to think the standard that you were charged to uphold, you'd have somebody that's spiritually working against you if they have defiled their temple and you are in efforts of maintaining the temple. So when you think about this, you seduce a virgin who is not betrothed. Ain't nobody telling you, hey, you supposed to pay a price. You got told, hey, you take her to Chili's, take her to Wild Wings, take her to Red Lobster, take her to Olive Garden, buy a little pocketbook, but you didn't pay no price to the father, nor were you worried about fulfilling a duty. Didn't grow up hearing that. I know I didn't. Definitely grew up going to church, but they wasn't teaching concrete like this. Jokers, welcome. That's your girlfriend right there? Oh, that's your boyfriend? Oh, y'all enjoy the service. Tickle your ears too. You know, every instance when it comes to a virgin or a woman, the Most High Yah has a plan for coverage. If you look at a virgin woman who is raped, nowadays the culture is we're going to prosecute with the whole extent of the law. And you let this woman go uncovered when the will of Yah was, okay, if a man forces himself on a woman, he does not get to escape the fulfilling the duty to her as a husband. No matter what they get into, he cannot divorce her all the days of his life. That's the coverage plan for the Most High Yah. But you look at this system that allows us to defile ourselves, oftentimes in male-on-male marriage, women-on-women marriage. System says, in God we trust. Which God do they trust? And you will quickly realize that they trust in the Roman mythology, Roman and Greek gods and goddesses. It's not the Most High. When we look at tattoos, I'll tell you, I have tattoos, but that is back when I was living lawless, living reckless, didn't have the truth. Before going to do some of this stuff, I wasn't looking in the word. Let me take it to the Most High. Let me see what the word says. Heck no. Man, we all can remember a point where you might have known what the word said, but a rebellious mind is going to go your own way. You don't want nothing to do with the truth. You don't want nothing hindering your rebellion, so you don't even try to research the truth. Some of that stuff I'm going to talk about today is like this. So I'll tell you now, hey, if somebody comes up to me and they say, hey, man, cool tattoo, man, that's just a segue for me to tell you the testimony. That's all that is. That's all it is. And people, but we have people in the last days being woke and spiritual, will promote this. We saw Joyce Myers tell her whole congregation, go out and do it. What? I'm telling you. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 28. You shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am the Lord. Print, Hebrew word 54:14, to add, apply, ascribe, lay into, place rendering, to put, to set. So this is why we had to get very concrete. We look at Egyptian culture. This is why they had to get pulled up out of there. When I look around today, I'm thankful that the Most High Yah unlocked my understanding, and I can see, Roman and Greek culture still existing. The ways of the Roman Empire still existing. The lawless ways of ancient Egypt still existing. And I know, you know what? Let me get away from this. Separate myself. 1 John chapter 2, verse 16. For all that is in the world, the desires of the flesh, and the desires of the eyes and the pride of life is not from the Father, but is from the world. So all of this stuff that we talking about and gravitating, people gravitate towards and defiling their own temple, it's not of the Most High Yah. It's not his plan for your life. It's of the world. Galatians chapter 5, verse 17, for the desires of the flesh are against the spirit. See, when you get into teachings about defiling your temple, what you have is people that think that they have faith. You didn't went to a whole lot of Sunday sun worship, whole lot of heathen worship, and you realize you really don't believe in the book. Because when you hear the book, you hear the truth, all of a sudden you offended. You believe in religion, what the world gives you, but you don't believe in pure religion, where it says you used to cover the widows and the orphans and to keep oneself unspotted from the world. I don't doubt that a lot of these people that are in lawlessness and justify transgression, that they don't believe. They believe, they just don't believe in the truth. So this is why you get a lot of pushback, because you have people that believe, even demons in Hasatan believe, other agents of Hasatan believe. They just don't believe in righteousness. And this is why when you mention certain things, you see demonic spirits manifest, because the flesh are against the Ruach, and the desires of the Ruach are against the flesh. And for these are opposed to each other to keep you from doing the things you want to do. So they're fighting. You got to think about an abrasive of clashing. And that's how the spirit of the Most High Yah and this flesh is going to clash. 2 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 1. Since we have these promises, beloved, let us cleanse ourselves from every defilement of body and spirit, bringing holiness to completion in fear of Yah. Let us cleanse ourselves. You have people that say this I'm saved prayer. Oh, dear Heavenly Father, in the name of your Son Jesus, I'm saved. And the people will say, if you want to be saved, repeat after me. You would say this, and you would go on like that, stuck for 30, 40 years, not once cleansing yourself from every defilement of the body and spirit. The body ain't nothing but a vessel. And you possibly saying this, repeat after me, some places do this every Sunday. Meanwhile, they're not teaching you how to cleanse, how to get deliverance out of some of these defilements. You have people so bold and arrogant to say, man, the Most High Yah made me this way as a man. He made me this way as a woman. And that right there that's already a warped belief, because you have those who have faith, they believe in the one true Messiah, and then they learn how to walk and they get delivered out of this defilement. You can't get delivered out of defilement without real faith, true faith. Mark chapter 7, verse 21 through 23. All right, let's see what we can do. We got some distortion in the audio. Let's see. How are we coming in now? We get a sound check. How are we coming in now? All right. It's a windy day where I am, and I know my internet dish is probably out there flapping. Okay. Mark chapter 7, verse 21 through 23. For from within, out of the heart of a man comes evil thoughts, thoughts of sexual immorality, theft, murder, adultery, coveting, wickedness, deceit, sensuality, envy, slander, pride, foolishness. All of these evil things come from within, and they defile a person. So you got to think, if you have defiled yourself, all of the stuff that is sin, it all starts with a thought, and it comes from within, from you having a defiled temple. Proverbs chapter 8, verse 36. But he who fails to find me injures himself. All who hate me loveth death. The last days, man, you're going to see a lot of people show their hate and disdain towards the Most High Yah, and a lot of that hatred will be shown through the persecution of the saints as they try to deliver the truth. That's where a lot of that hate is going to be shown. You're going to share the truth with somebody that says that they believe, try to get them further in their journey. You know what they're going to do? Man, they're going to try to torch the earth with you. But he who fails to find me. So if you don't find the Father, it's injury to yourself. John chapter 3, verse 19 through 21. And this is the judgment. The light has come into the world, and people love darkness rather than light because their works were evil. For everyone who does wicked things hates the light and does not come to the light, lest his work should be exposed. But whoever does what is true comes to light, so that it may be clearly seen that his works have been carried out in the Most High. So you got to think about the light to the world, and you having this opportunity, this gift, but saying, you know what, man, this what's going on in Egypt, man, Egypt was jumping, boy. They had some of the best clubs. Them women was nasty. Them men was freaks. That's what happened. Here's another one. Another way we defile our body is with food. And you have people that read one passage out of context, 1-2 lines that says the word clean and unclean, and they will do away with, food sacrificed to idols. We can see in the beginning, we got an instruction for Israel not to eat certain things because it defiles our temple. And then certain things was not for the purpose of us eating, but they do have a purpose. Even though the Most High made clean and unclean, he made clean and unclean for food. And then there's things that are unclean that have a purpose on this earth, but the purpose is not for us to be eating of them, to consume them. Man, I grew up in a swine eating family. Grew up grew up eating chitlins and things like that. But when you just think about it at the minute level, who want to eat some doggone intestines, intestine lining, poop shoot that dung shit has traveled through? You got to think, man, you are taught in this replacement theology that everything is clean. You got the people that eat the swine. Well, ain't nothing wrong with that swine. But you say the snake is bad. You say the rat is bad. And it's just a justification of trying to support the lifestyle that you want to live. But there ain't nowhere in the whole of the book do you see the disciples, the apostles, or anybody eating food sacrificed to idols. And then when you look at a lot of this stuff, people will use carnal justification and say, well, I eat fine, I eat this and I eat that, and I'm perfectly fine. You're perfectly fine until you're not fine. And you got to think, oftentimes the Most High Yah is he's gonna put a messenger. When we look at the etymology of angel, it's not what they tell you is on a Christmas tree and all of that. No, it's a messenger. He's gonna send a messenger to see if you really love the truth, somebody to tell you something. And you know what? When that messenger comes and gives you the truth, it's going to be the complete opposite of what the world is telling you. Hey, I know you grew up doing this. I knew you grew up eating that. But this is the message. This is the truth. You're going to pay a price for defiling your temple. Man, when you got to look at swine, and I'm just using this for example, it don't have no health benefits. No health benefits whatsoever. Parasite infested. When you look at a lot of shellfish, no health benefits whatsoever. If anything, you eat too much of it, the science will tell you that this stuff will give you certain diseases and can harm you. But that flesh craves it, the flavor. And I tell you, man, there's times where I see stuff and I'm thankful that I got the truth. Thankful that I got the truth and I've been delivered out of eating some of this food that's been sacrificed to idols. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 1 through 3. And the Lord spoke unto Moses and Aaron, saying unto them, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, these are the beasts which you shall eat among all the beasts that are on earth. Whatever parteth the hoof and has cloven footed and cheweth the cud among these beasts, that shall eat. Leviticus chapter 11, verse 7 through 8. And the swine, though he divide the hoof and be cloven footed, yet he cheweth not the cud, he is unclean to you. You got to understand, in replacement theology, they have taken the belief and the concept that they supersede what was instructed to Israel. Messiah said he came for the lost sheep of Israel. What made them lost sheep? Some of the defilement that they were taking part in. Verse 8, of their flesh you shall not eat, and their carcasses you shall not touch. They are unclean to you. You know, another one, if you take this full flesh, you got to think about pigskin, football. Nowadays, they're made out of this composite material. But even if you got sons and you throw the ball, you might want to look on the seat. Hey, what this made out of? This composite material? Is this real swine? If it's a little bit expensive, that's going to tell you it's made out of that swine's flesh. Man, I used to eat all this stuff. Pork rinds, hog maw, ham hocks, pork chops, cheap meat. They're raising the price on that stuff too. And I'm seeing people, when you think about this, you got to look at it. In my community, when you go to the doctor, they're asking you, and they're automatically assuming you got certain issues. Well, you got high blood pressure, you got gout, you got this, you got that, high cholesterol. This is some of the stuff that feeds into it. And I will sit and watch my family continue to eat this stuff and then bring it into the temple, bring it into the building, the place of where they worship, bring it in there and be eating it and then praying. You cannot bless something that the Most High Yah is told. It's like, it don't matter how much grace you say, you're not in grace at that point. He's telling you that, and I'm going to show you today that this is the defilement of the temple. Man, it comes down to defiling your temple. You got a choice to make. And either you're choosing death or you're choosing life. Or you're choosing to worship and glorify self, or you're choosing to glorify the Most High. You know, when you're out and about and you're ordering and you see something, man, that Ruach will have you. Let me see what's on this thing. Let me see what's on this burger. And I'll take that burger, look pretty good, but I don't want no swine on it. You got some people that they know the truth, but when it comes, they like, well, ain't nobody around, ain't nobody gonna see it. Most High is watching everything, seeing what choice you're gonna make. You gonna choose unrighteousness, or you gonna choose righteousness? And all that have not fins and scales in the sea and in the rivers of all that move the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you. Man, there's I'm gonna have to post it on Facebook. Justin Rock, that's the name of the Facebook. But I'm gonna have to post it on there because there's a long list that I didn't even know, you know, until coming into righteousness and a brother sharing with me. Man, there's a long list of fish. Catfish ain't the only one. A long list of fish. You think about dolphin. People be like, let me get the dolphin. Stay away from some of this stuff. Isaiah chapter 66, verse 17 through 18. They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the garden behind one tree in the midst, eating swine's flesh, and the abomination and the mouse shall be consumed together, saith the Lord. He's letting you know. He's letting you know. For I know their works and their thoughts. It shall come that I will gather all nations and tongue, and they shall come and see my glory. So no matter what you're doing in the end, when he tells you every knee shall bow, every tongue confess, no matter who you worship, what you already, you're going to doggone acknowledge this truth. They shall be even an abomination to you. You shall not eat of their flesh, but you shall have their carcasses, in abomination. Whatsoever have no fins nor scales in the waters, that shall be an abomination unto you. And these are which you shall have an abomination among the fowls. So he's listing out all this stuff. And then here's another one. When you look at some of these, people will read over this, and rather than studying to show themselves approved and saying, let me look this up. I ain't never heard of this kind of beast. What is this in the Bible? What does that translate to modern day? You have some people that say, no, that's just done. It's just easier to say it's done away with than to actually study. And these are they which shall have an abomination among the fowls. They shall not be eaten. They are an abomination. The eagle, the ossifrage, and the osprey. So you have to go back and look those up. Man, what the heck is a ossifrage and osprey? Okay, Leviticus chapter 11, verse 43 through 47. You shall not make yourselves abominable with any creeping thing that creepeth, neither shall you make yourselves unclean with them, that you should be defiled thereby. You know, certain countries, they eat certain things. And in your own curiosity, you say, man, I ain't never ate none of that. You better be mindful of what you're eating. Because you might be, when it comes to this food sacrifice to idols, you got to think that's a major part of idolatry and what kind of spirits you're taking on by doing that. You shall not make yourselves abominable with anything that creepeth, neither shall you make yourselves unclean with them, that you should be defiled thereby. For I am the Lord your Yah. You shall therefore sanctify yourselves. That's a process. And you shall be holy, for I am holy. Neither shall you defile yourselves with any manner of creeping things that creepeth upon earth. For I am the Lord that bring you out of the land of Egypt. Here we go. When you're talking about defiling the temple, defiling your body, stuff that you shouldn't be partaking in, he's going to tell you, I am the Lord your Yah that brought you out of Egypt to be your Yah. You shall therefore be holy, for I am holy. This is the law of the beast and of the fowl and of every living creature that moveth in the water and every creature that creepeth upon earth. This is why when you hear these people saying the law is done away with, this is the reason why. You're not going to find them living in righteousness while believing that the law is done away with. You will eat chitlin booty, you will eat man booty, you will eat woman booty, you will eat lizard feet, all kind of stuff. And you will be defiling your temple in the process. Verse 47, to make a difference between the unclean and the clean. And you got to think about it all throughout the book. We got the righteous, you got the unrighteous. You got good and you got evil. Think about this. Those that don't have a spirit, those that have. Do you always see that there's a greater population of people that are okay with transgression and there's few in righteousness? This is the reason he tells you to come out from among them. Be ye separate. Come out from among her, lest you take part in her plague. What kind of plagues? Plagues don't come from living righteous, living set apart. No, they come from you not obeying the instruction of the Most High. You got to think, when Messiah returns, and you got people saying that I believe, those that don't believe, and y'all all mixed together. He said, don't be unequally yoked with, unbelievers. The religion ain't gonna save you. Isaiah chapter 65, verse 2 through 7. I have spread out my hands all the day unto a rebellious people, which walketh in the way that was not good, after their own thoughts. A people that provoke me to anger continually to my face, that sacrificeth in gardens and burneth incense upon altars of brick, which remain among the graves and lodge into the mountains, which eat swine flesh and broth of abominable things in their vessels. So when you think about that vessel, that's your body. These jokers were cooking up all kind of. You think about a crab boil. You got abominable stuff in there. You marinate it in the juices in the broth. You be sucking. It's good. Verse
verse 5, which says, stand by thyself, come not near to me, for I am holier than you. These are a smoke in my nose, fire that burneth all day.
You call yourself religion, but you're going religious and you're going against the book, trying to justify it, saying, for I am holier than thou. And that's kindling anger. Behold, it is written before me, I will not keep silence, but I will recompense, even recompense into their bosom. Your iniquities and the iniquities of your father together, said the Lord, which have burned incense upon the mountains and blasphemed me upon the hills. Therefore, I will measure their former work in their bosom. Acts chapter 15, verse 29. That you abstain from what has been sacrificed to idols, and from blood, and from what has been strangled, and from sexual immorality. If you keep yourselves from these, you will do well. Farewell. You know, some people say, well, I'm going to die anyways, so it really don't matter. And I'll tell you this, that due to the fallen state of man, we know that we're going to die. We're not living as long as they did in the earlier times in biblical years. But knowing that you're going to die anyways, man, you either can go out in lawlessness or you can go out in righteousness. The choice is yours. And a lot of people simply, when it comes to their actions on a daily basis, they choose lawlessness. They turn their ear away from hearing the law. Where they could be, you know, entertaining a messenger that's telling them something for their soul salvation's sake. They say, no, I'm good. My pastor told me that we could eat it. And you're supposed to be going off this word. Revelations chapter 2, verse 20. So all the way throughout the book, we see food sacrificed to idols. You see it a lot more when you look into the apocryphers. You see it a lot more. Revelations chapter 2, verse 20. But I have this against you, that you tolerate that woman Jezebel, who calls herself a prophetess and is teaching and seducing my servants to practice sexual immorality, to defile their temples, and to eat food sacrificed to idols. Come on now. That's why people don't read this. No matter what you didn't warp your mind to believe, and you didn't went to all of these lawless people, because that's who you go to. If you like doing and eating this food sacrificed to idol, you go to lawless people, lawless teachers to doggone get justification. Well, he said I could do it. And then you realize, end of the book, no, she was teaching people to eat food sacrificed to idols, and she got dealt with for it. First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 41 through 50. Antiochus now issued a decree that all nations in his empire should abandon their own customs and become one people. So he's starting this kumbaya. Forget what you come from. We're starting this new thing. We're all going to be one people. All the Gentiles and every many of the Israelites submitted to this decree. They adopted the official pagan religion, offered sacrifices to idols, and no longer observed the Sabbath. The king also sent messengers with the decree to Jerusalem and all the towns of Judea, ordering the people to follow customs that were foreign to the country. He ordered them not to offer burnt offerings, grain offerings, or wine offerings in the temple, and commanded them to treat Sabbath and festivals as ordinary work days. So you got to think, people say, well, they were first called Christians at Antioch. Messiah never doggone created no religion called Christianity. This is the working of the heathens, of the Gentiles. And this is why they don't want people reading this stuff, because there's so much history in exposing their true culture and replacement theology and supersessionism. They were even ordered to defile the temple and the holy things in it. They were commanded to build pagan altars, temples, and shrines, and to sacrifice pigs and other unclean animals there. They were forbidden to circumcise their sons and were required to make themselves ritually unclean in every way they could. so that they would forget the law which the Lord had given through Moses, and they would disobey all the commands. The penalty for disobeying the king's Antiochus decree was death. If you disobeyed King Antiochus, the penalty was death. That is a test of your faith. And they put pressure on you. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 3 through 5. You shall not eat any abomination. These are the animals you may eat: the ox, the sheep, the goat, the deer, the gazelle, the roebuck, the wild goat, the ibex, the antelope, and the mountain sheep. Deuteronomy 14:8. And the pig, because it parts hoof but does not chew the cud, it is unclean for you. Their flesh you shall not eat, and their carcasses you shall not touch. Proverbs 21:23. For the drunkard and the glutton will come to poverty, and slumber will clothe them with rags. And the glutton, Hebrew word 21:51, excessive eater, to be loose morally, worthless, vile, a person devoted to eating in excess. That's no matter how religious you think you are, when you see that everybody has something to work on, especially in righteousness. This is one of the ones where we defile our temple. The Most High Yah didn't put nobody on this earth to be a 600-pound baby. But you got to look at how we slowly defile our temple. One of the most subtle ways we do it is through gluttony, excessive eating. You wonder why you can't see your feet. Wonder why you can't see your sexual parts. Slowly defiling temple. People like to talk about the homosexuality and this, but this one right here, that hit home for a lot of people. That's why when you talk about breaking your plate and fasting, that's why it's important. Nowadays, it's a trend to just fast for weight loss. Ain't nobody fasting to doggone get closer to the Most High. Breaking your plate. Never establishing that link, getting the signal strength good and strong. That's what you're doing when you break your plate for the purpose of righteousness. Proverbs 23, verse 1 through 3. When you sit down to eat with a ruler, observe carefully what is before you, and put a knife to your throat if you are given to appetite. It's better to doggone off yourself. Put a knife to your throat, cut your own throat, than to sit up and eat abominable food. Do not desire his delicacies, for they are deceptive food. Deceptive food? Hey, welcome. Come on in. Take a seat. Welcome to my take that party. Man, we got all kind of, you ever had some of this? This is a delicacy. It says, observe carefully what is before you. People look at certain parts of Bible passages in scripture, and they think that this is some sort of special diet. Well, we doing a David's fast. We doing this and we doing that. No, what was happening was they was observing what was on the table. They knew it was deceptive food, spun off as a delicacy, but this is stuff being food sacrificed to idols. So it's better not to eat. Or if I eat, I'm choosing just to eat this. Proverbs chapter 23, verse 1 through 3. That's very important. Very important. You're experiencing, going to cookouts and stuff like that. And people say, yeah, he got some of that stuff from, brought some of that stuff from Louisiana. You better look good. And what is that? You better ask questions. You better ask questions. You say that come from where? I'm gonna pass on that, man. My stomach real sensitive. I can't eat none of that. If you don't know what it is and understand, it's better to pass on it than to try it and mess around and have a spirit jump off on you to defile your temple, and you wondering why you got all these ailments and ailments. Let me tell you something. Everybody's gonna go out some way, shape, form, or fashion. But it's a blessing to go out in natural causes. Well, there ain't nothing, they can't find nothing wrong with you. You just passed in peace. That's a blessing. A lot of people don't get to go out like that. They go out having all these issues on all these medications, but just being able to go out and have none of those issues. It's a true blessing. Next, we're getting into the sexual aspect because a lot of this stuff that's normalized today, people don't understand. This stuff originated in Egypt. First Corinthians chapter 6, verse 9 through 10. Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of Yah? Be not deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, nor abusers of themselves with mankind. So you abuse yourself with mankind. That's the process of defiling your temple. Nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of the Most High. Leviticus chapter 20, verse 13. If this is the problem where this is why I said you have to have a foundation of faith. Because if you're in the thick of this, if you are in the weightier matters of the law, which the scribes and Pharisees didn't do, they was talking to people about washing cups and pot and washing hands. They wasn't in the weight, and the word says they neglected the weightier matters of the law. If a man also lie with mankind, as he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. Let me give you this scripture right here. Let me give you this passage right here because this is what you have. Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 11. Because this people think they're getting away with this stuff. Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. So you say, well, if he's going to take me out, then let him take me out. And because he doesn't execute judgment speedily, you continue on in these abominable practices. It says, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. So you had these people that's arrogantly and proud. They said, well, stone me then. Well, stone me. That's dangerous. You even saying that. You're choosing to be lawless. Where you can receive this truth that's in the book. But oftentimes you don't get it. People try to go back to, well, we don't know who wrote it and wrote this and wrote. That's all of that stuff is pretty much an agenda of unbelief and lack of faith. When you look at homosexuality, lesbianism, originated in ancient Greece. That's why you look at a lot of their artwork. Some of this stuff is originated in ancient Egypt also. You know, your sources are going to tell you ancient Egypt, and you're going to have more sources to tell you ancient Greece. You look at a lot of the artwork of the Roman Catholic Church. They got babies and all of this nakedness, and you're like, dang, what the heck going on here? And the reason why is when you look at certain type of sexual activity, anal, oral, group sex, originated in ancient Egypt, and they were later adopted by the Romans and the Greeks. People don't know that the Vatican is host to one of the largest pornography database. You got to understand that word porneia started with, it has Greek origins. Fornication, porneia. Leviticus 18, 22 through 30. Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is an abomination. In the last days, man, you're going to have false teachers try to soften the blow, try to make you seem like it's some great area, like you can do this to the kingdom. You got a whole bunch of, right now in the last day, you're seeing a whole bunch of homosexual and lesbian pastors be exposed. How's somebody supposed to let you pray over them and you looking at them wanting to take advantage of them, wanting to help defile their body? People are going to avoid what's in the book, and they're going to run towards, when it says they will gravitate towards teachers that suit their own desires. That's where people go. So whatever abominable practice you like and you're looking for justification, you're going to seek clarification through somebody that's lawless in that area. Neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile yourself therewithin, neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie there too. It is confusion. Defile not yourselves in any of these things, for in all these nations are defiled, which I cast out before you. and the land is defiled. Therefore I do visit the iniquity there upon it, and the land itself vomit out other inhabitants. You shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, and shall not commit any of these abominations, neither any of your own nation, nor any stranger that sojourneth among you. For all these abominations have the men of the land done, which were before you, and the land is defiled. Verse 28. The land spew not you out also when you defile it, as it spewed out the nations that were before you. For whosoever shall commit any of these abominations, even the souls that commit them shall be cut off from among their people. Therefore you should keep mine ordinances, that you commit not any one of these abominable customs which were committed before you, and that you defile not yourselves therein. I am the Lord your Yah. Here's another one. You know, when you hear people say, come as you are, come as you are, people take that and say there's pushback when you start to get into the weightier matters of the law. You got some people that just want to come and they want a participation trophy. They don't want to change. You got to understand, you know, the choices that you got to make in the major leagues is you actually have to put some effort forth in being a doer of the word. Where in the YMCA, you can just show up. You ain't got to participate. You ain't really got to doggone put forth no effort, and you're getting a trophy. That's not the way righteousness works. But some people want it. Some people want a participation reward. Romans chapter 10, verse 9 through 12. Because if you confess with your mouth that Yahushua is Lord, and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. Man, that's the starting point right there. For with the heart one believes and is justified, and with the mouth one confessed and is saved. Let me get in here and make a change on the audio real quick. Let me know. Let's see. What about now? Give me a test. All right, we good to go. So we'll make those adjustments. I'm almost through with this thing. James chapter 4, verse 8. Draw near to Yah, and he will draw near to you. Gotta understand, these last days, people aren't drawing near to him. They're drawing near to religion. They're drawing near to the concepts and traditions and practices that come from men. Cleanse your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded. Man, to say you have faith, but fight the truth that's in the book, that's double-minded. That's the same hypocrisy and double-mindedness that the doggone scribes, Pharisees, and Sadducees were demonstrating. Proverbs chapter 28, verse 9. He that turneth away his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer shall be an abomination. So no matter how much you talking about, I'm doing this praying and I'm starting this prayer regimen, you don't want to hear the law, your prayer is an abomination. They're not doing you any good. He hates them. Romans chapter 3, verse 23. For all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of the Most High Yah. I'm in agreement that, man, blessed are the merciful, but you have people that use this sin right here to justify continuing to sin, continued wickedness. Ain't no wrong with showing mercy on somebody. But brother or sister, how many times are we going to consistently talk about what the truth is and what his will is, what his instruction is, and you go to this right here because you don't want to change? You want to participate, you want to be seen in the group, but you don't want the Most High Yah to actually allow change in your life. You don't even want to change. He tells you how to make the change. You don't want it. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 26 through 29. For if we sin willfully after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins. So you got to think about it. A lot of what we grew up, especially in church and things like that, didn't know no better. Man, sometimes people don't understand how crucial a messenger is. You may sit up and you may say, well, I don't like the person that gave me the message. It don't matter. They delivered you the truth. And if you would have humbled yourself, you could have received it. There remaineth no more sacrifice for sin if you keep on sinning willfully. Some people keep on sinning willfully, stand 10 toes down in their sin, read scripture out of context to try to justify their sin. Matter of fact, they won't even go to Torah. They'll read something that Paul said that's not scripture, that's not law, and read one line of it. Won't even look at the audience. Where were they at when that message was being given to justify their sin? But a certain fearful looking for of judgment and fiery indignation, which shall devour the adversaries. He that despises Moses' law died without mercy under 2 or 3 witnesses. How many people did in today despise Moses? Moses was counted as righteous in Hebrews chapter 11. All throughout the book, he was counted as righteous. People despise Moses. They get up and do it every Sunday, trying to doggone justify and say what's done away with because they believe the religion of the Romans and the Greeks, not the doggone truth that's in the book. Of how much sore punishment suppose you shall he be thought worthy who have trodden under the foot of the Son of Yah and have counted the blood of the covenant wherewith he was sanctified an unholy thing and have done despite unto the Spirit of grace. Romans chapter 3, verse 28 through 31. Therefore we conclude that a man is justified by faith without deeds of the law. Is he the God of the Jews or Yahudah or Judah only? Is he not also of the Gentiles or the heathens? Yes, also of the Gentiles also. Verse 30, seeing it is one Yah which shall justify the circumcision by faith and the uncircumcision through faith, do we then make void the law through faith? So now that we got this faith, do we cancel out the law because of that faith? Yah forbid. We uphold the law. We establish the law. Psalms 119, 142. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. Man, it's not, especially when you're getting into the truth, you're going to realize people will stonewall you. People will gaslight you. Most High Yah for forgiving your doggone sins through a sea of forgiveness, and they want to take it back to day one, and you're saying something for their soul salvation's sake. You realize people have a hatred towards the truth, and that's the law of the Most High Yah. They have a hatred towards it. It doesn't say this righteousness is an Old Testament righteousness. This is a New Testament righteousness. You let some of these people tell you, oh, no, that righteousness back then, that's bad righteousness. No, thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. Oftentimes, Messiah, when he was talking to people and meeting them where they are, these people that he was coming across had different issues. He didn't have to go through the full list of commandments given in Exodus chapter 20 and Exodus 34. No, for where they were deficient, he would give them guidance and often refer back to Moshe, the law that Moshe received from the Most High. Philippians chapter 2, verse 12. Wherefore, my beloved, as you have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. You got to think about it. This is an action-based. Some people just stop. Well, I got faith. Faith is it. That's enough. I ain't got nothing to work out. And that's why you cannot receive truth, because you really don't have faith. You are in optimism. You are in mental assent. You're in hope. You're hoping you believe. You hoping you have faith, but you actually don't have it. The next one, defiling your temple. Man, you will let people, you can go on YouTube and watch this. You look at some of the messages going on in Israel right now. People are talking about drinking is a sin. And you can't find that nowhere in the Torah, nowhere in the whole of the Bible. And I'm going to show you today, there's a difference between drinking in moderation and being a drunkard. And that's one of the You got to think in religion, because they don't have an understanding of all the ways that we defile our temple, because they are Torahless, they're lawless, don't want to hear the law. Well, guess what they do? They take things that's not even in sin and tell people that they're sin. What sense does this make? Telling somebody that they're in sin, but yet sin is the transgression of the law. You don't believe in the law, but yet you believe in sin. Double-minded. Proverbs 20 verse 1. Wine is a mocker, strong drink a brawler, and anyone and whoever is led astray by it is not wise. Who is led astray? Think about that. People say, "Oh, it touched your lips. He didn't put his lips to the cup." All kind of foolishness. It says, "Whoever is led astray by it is not wise." These people had you thinking Messiah turned doggone water into grape juice. Ephesians chapter 5 verse 18. And do not get drunk with wine, for that is debauchery, but be filled with the Spirit. Do not get drunk. You have those have no self-control. They get drunk. They look forward to it. Oh, I got to get drunk this week. That's the sin right there. That's the way you defile your temple. Man, all of these ways of defiling your temple is like you think about your temple just being a calm pool of water. You taking a rock, throwing it, and expecting for a ripple not to happen. And you think for some of that water is not going to splash and leave up out of the body of water. It says, and do not get drunk with wine. You have people that's in replacement theology, supersession Christian. I can't drink. That's a sin. There ain't no doggone sin. It's not a sin. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 18. Hold on, why is this in here so many doggone times? Let's go to Isaiah chapter 5, verse 11. Woe to those who rise early in the morning that they may run after strong drink. You see how you're being led astray? It's instead of you getting to work early in the morning, you running to grab a drink. This is the life of a drunkard who tarry late into the evening as wine inflames them. So you just go about drinking all day, and your labor of love is never working with these hands like the Most High Yah intended for you to do. Habakkuk 2:15. Woe to him that makes his neighbors drink. You pour out your wrath and make them drunk in order to gaze at their nakedness. So you doggone starting stuff, getting your neighbor to drink. You got to think, love your neighbor. You get your neighbor drunk just so you can see them naked because you got an agenda behind you. 1 Corinthians 5:11. But now I am writing to you not to associate with anyone who bears the name of the brother if he is guilty of sexual immorality or greed, or is an idolater, reviler, drunkard, or swindler, not even to eat with such one. So he's giving you the instruction. You make the choice yourself. In there, you see that the drunkard, that's where it's telling you won't inherit the kingdom. Ecclesiasticus chapter 31, verse 27 through 30. Let's see what the word says. I want you to understand why they don't want some of this stuff in Christianity, why they don't want these books in Christianity, because it gives a lot more understanding. And they don't want you to have understanding of the truth. They want to lead you astray while telling you the law is done away with, while trying to define what is sin according to their eyes. Wine is as good as life to a man, if it be drunk moderately. What life is then to a man that is without wine? For it was made to make men glad. What happens when you get drunk? You don't get glad, you get angry, mad. You start defiling yourself. You got to think some people, there are people that have an unhealthy relationship with alcohol that you probably need to cut it off cold turkey. But the temptation to seeing if you have actually experienced deliverance is to be able to see, can you do it moderately? If I put it in front of you, if I put a whole 5-gallon jug in front of you, are you gonna gulp it all down, or are you gonna get you a little bit and say, that's enough? That's moderation right there. Moderation to exercise self-control. Verse 28, wine measurably drunk and in season bringeth gladness of the heart and the cheerfulness of the mind. Remember that part, in season. But wine drunken with excess maketh bitterness of the mind, with brawling and quarreling. Drunkenness increaseth the rage of a fool till he offend. It diminish strength and maketh wounds. Drunkenness. Man, when you look at, let me go to it real quick. Let me find it. When you go to, I want to say it's Leviticus, and it's telling you about the yearly tithes. If that journey be too far, it tells you to go buy the stuff that your soul desire. It tells you to go to buy the wine, the food, and it's encouraging it. But that encouragement does not support you being a drunkard. Okay? The last one, how you defile your temple. You got to think, if you mix gluttony with slothfulness, how fast that'll take you out. How fast it'll take you out. You see my 600-pound life, and you've been excessive in eating. You don't see these people having a good work ethic. You see them laying in the bed frying chicken, laid down, not even sitting up. You got to think how fast that'll take you out. And if you are too gluttonous, that laziness is going to come. Proverbs chapter 13, verse 4. The soul of the sluggard craves and gets nothing, while the soul of the diligent is richly supplied. You got to think, man, the lifestyle of righteousness. When you look at them being agricultural people, it was an active lifestyle. Wasn't this lifestyle of convenience that we see in Western culture? Proverbs chapter 10, verse 4. A slack hand causes poverty, but the hand of the diligent makes rich. Proverbs 21:25. The desires of the sluggard kills him. So that's your death right there. You're going to defile your temple because you're lazy. For his hands refuse to labor. People are going to offend. Let me tell you the quickest way not to ever be called lazy. Stay working. Be a hard worker. But when you call a man or a woman lazy, bro, you see a demon manifest. And they rather fight you than just get to work. Titus chapter 2, verse 3 through 5. Older women likewise are to be reverent in behavior, not slanderers or slaves to too much wine. They say you couldn't have no wine. It says to too much wine. They are to teach what is good and to train the young women to love their husbands and children, to be self-controlled, pure, working at home. They tell you to be no trophy. Sit upon yourself and say, look at me. No, that's work, that's labor, kindness, submission to their own husband, that the word of God will not be reviled. Ecclesiastes chapter 20, verse 1 and 2. A slothful man. Let's get this audio straight. We almost through with this one. Let's see. What about now? Let me get an audio check. All praise to the Most High Yah. We get an audio check. All right, we good. We back at it. Ecclesiasticus chapter 22, verse 1 through 2. A slothful man, a lazy man, is compared to a filthy stone, and everyone will hiss him out to his disgrace. A slothful man is compared to the filth of dunghill. That's basically saying you're not worth shit. You ain't worth a dang as a lazy man. Every man that takes it up will shake his hand. So you pretty much in agreement with a lazy man. It's like shaking somebody's hand that's got poop in their doggone hand. Ecclesiasticus chapter 7, verse 15. Hate not laborious work, neither husbandry with the Most High hath ordained. Man, let me tell you something. At the forefront of this message today, I know this is hard for those that don't have faith to hear. I know it's a truth that they don't want to acknowledge. I would encourage you, the most important thing you could do in starting your walk is to ensure you have faith. Ensure you believe in what's actually in the book and not what came later through these Roman and Greek philosophers and theologians. It's going to be the most important part for you if any part of today's message offended you. But for those that have faith and are walking in truth, man, this is today I hit on something that we all can be working on. I know me, man, they come to potato chips and stuff like that. I polish a whole family bag off. Got to do better. You know, every time you look in the mirror and you sit up saying, man, I need some kind of pill to do. Hey, nah, break your plate. Break your plate. Even in righteousness. Righteousness don't mean perfect. But people be like, oh man, you think you perfect? No, I'm trying to perfect this thing. Trying to get it right. You know, rebuking this flesh. You know, some days easing others. So other days you can rebuke yourself from eating a whole packet of Oreos, whole bag of chips. Some days, boy, you like, let me go ahead and just eat them. But at least you're working towards it. Rather than just saying, no, ain't no problem with it. Telling everybody else, no, eat it. Be gluttonous. Man, today I went over just several ways in which, you know, it's shown biblically that we can defile our temples. And once you defile your temple, man, you are just a place of idol worship. Worthless, laziness, fornication, sexual immorality, you know, the foods that you eat. Man, I hope you got something out of it. You know, thankful that we all praise to the Most High Yah for allowing us to get through the audio and technical challenges. We made it through. Man, I hope everybody continues to have a blessed day of rest. Truly enjoy it. Rebuke yourself in the mind, even if you think about, you know, work, and just actually just rest and think about, you know, how the Most High Yah, you know, gave you the truth, gave you his ruach so you could be brought out of the modern day Egypt and be a set apart people. Man, I want to get to the comments and thank all the brothers and sisters for tuning in. If it's your first time, consider liking and subscribing and sharing. We got McCoy White, Shabbat Shalom, James Charles, Noah Joshua. Let's see who else. Maurice Delva. We have Casper BKUW, David Motley, Stefan. Let's see who else we got. Make sure we're good. Timothy Shropshire. Yep. So to all the brothers and sisters, hey, I thank you for your support. And I'm perfectly fine with it, man. I'm perfectly fine. You know, some videos that I post, they may only get 5 views, but I see in the response that it hit the right person, and that's good enough for me. Good enough for me. So I thank you for the support, for tuning in and embarking on this journey of righteousness, being able to receive truth, because we know the spirit of truth the world cannot receive, because ultimately it does not know him. He doesn't know them and they don't know him. All praise to the Most High Yah. Shabbat Shalom. The King is coming. Go in peace. Go in love. Closer to Yah Ministries. Kicking that thing. Gun, barrel, straight. We got Stefan from Fort Bliss. Hey, what part of Fort Bliss you in? Definitely been there twice. First duty station, and then was there 3 duty stations ago. Didn't like it so much the first time, but it grew on me. But Shabbat Shalom, family. Enjoy your day of rest. Closer to Yah Ministry. Kicking that thing. Gun, barrel, straight. Bow.